You are listening to Single Smart Female, Romantic Fairy Godmama Edition. This show is brought to you by Irresistibility, expert help for women with online dating. Are you experiencing inbox crickets or real-life crazies? It's not you, it's your online dating profile. Let us help you do online dating that leads to real-life love and romance. Go to helpmeonlinedate.com and we will send you the first 2 video chapters of our program for free.
Hello, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Guess what today is?
Is it Tuesday?
No. it's effectively not Tuesday.
I'm just throwing you a curveball to see how you react.
Oh, well, you know. I'm
You know
good
how
with
I
all
like
kinds of curves.
Yeah. Ooh, yes, curves.
With that said, our random start for the day.
I love messing with you.
We actually have a topic today.
Yes.
And the topic is?
Are you too overwhelming to men to find love?
So what do we mean by that?
Do you
Overwhelm men?
Yeah. Do men find you too much that they can't manage it?
I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe a lot of women, their mind goes straight to the idea of, well, men just don't like strong women. And
Right.
so we automatically assume that being too much is about our strength and our ambition and all kinds of stuff.
Right. Exactly.
But we're actually talking about something a little different. I hope every woman understands by now that that piece of you is not too overwhelming for the right type of men. And there are tons of these men that are very attracted to that. But we're actually talking about something else.
Right. Exactly. And Jen, you know that I'm a strong woman, right? And I know that you are a strong woman.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a man,
I
husband, and I have plenty of men who adore me. I'm not trying to brag there. I'm just saying
Well, you should
that,
brag. It's awesome.
that there are
You
suitors
have a thriving
around.
entourage.
Yes. So it's not about strength, but yes, the topic is somewhat different. It's more about, do men feel overwhelmed? Like we said, do they feel like they don't know where to start? There's just
and how to process
too
you.
much to process. Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
So the short answer for a lot of women is yes, you are very
Right.
overwhelming. And I know a lot of women, their heads go straight to, well, that's a guy's problem.
Right. That's me. That's who I am.
That's
and the right man will love me like that.
Yes. And I'm going to call some BS on you because it's not exactly who you are. It's who you've been trained to be in many ways. I'm going to segue a little bit and say, you know, we always complain about how men mansplain things. But the truth is that women-splain emotional issues.
Oh, you're so right. Yeah.
We go to the point of exhaustion over explaining how we feel about things.
Right.
Because for either we feel guilty or we're insecure that he's not hearing us or we're sure he's not listening to it. All these different things where we invest so much energy into this. And it does, at a certain point, become absolutely 100% overwhelming. I'm overwhelmed by it with women now,
Yes.
to be honest.
Yes, me too. At times.
It's not that I don't love women. I love working with women, but we have a tendency to over-explain emotional issues or situations and overanalyze to, again, the point of exhaustion. I'm going to say right there's the first point where we are actually terribly overwhelming. And one of the reasons I love talking to men so much. Now, I know all of you women, and Jen, and we were just talking about yesterday, we were talking about somebody who does this with you. There are men, of course, who do this.
Yes.
This is not like it's exclusively a women thing. I think women just happen to be a lot better at it.
Yes. Yeah.
And we were talking about a specific man who kept going on and on. He just goes on about his problems and blah, 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 and feelings and things like that.
Right. It's overwhelming to me. Yeah.
Yes.
And you know what I feel like when that happens?
What?
I feel like shutting down. I feel like completely removing myself from the situation. Just like, oh my gosh, I can't take this. This is too much. I don't know where to start.
Yes.
I don't know what to say because there's so many angles that just came at me. So many different things. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't even know how to go there. So I'm just going to walk away because I don't know where to start.
And I'm going to actually say you don't actually walk away because you're so nice.
I walk away probably a lot faster than I used to in my past, but
I'm still encouraging her to walk away faster.
Yes. It was 11 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yes. But what it feels like to be on the receiving end of that, and all of you ladies, if you think about it in context of your other friends, there comes a certain point where it feels like there's no oxygen to breathe. And that's emotional oxygen. There's no, once you get to a certain point of over-explaining things, regardless of whether or not you actually need that, which we're gonna talk about whether or not you need that in just a second, but it gets to the point of depletion and you feel like there's nothing to breathe.
Yes.
Energetically.
Right.
Now, with that said, does that mean, are Jen and Jen saying that you're not supposed to have your feelings? Fuck no.
No, you need to have your feelings. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, they're real. They're just life.
Yes.
That's who you are. You were made that way.
Yes. The feelings are real. Now, the source of the feelings, because of the perception piece, isn't always what we think it is.
Right.
But the feelings themselves are actually happening to you. So yes, you do have to contend with them. You do have to deal with them. You do have to process them. But what you don't have to do, and this is what I tell my kiddo all the time, because my kiddo is actually really a star at doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to punish the rest of the world with your feelings.
Right.
This is so freaking key. If you can understand that it's okay to have your feelings and not beat up the rest of the world with your feelings, your life is going to be so much easier.
Yes. And Jen, I'll just tell you, like me personally, I'm an emotional person, and I used to be, and maybe at times still am, overwhelming to friends with processing my emotions. What I've been working on, though, is trying to become more of a self-soother. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that I don't talk to friends about my feelings, but I also know if they're not available, if, there's times where people, all of a sudden, no one's available. Mm-hmm. Nobody's answering. And I think that's kind of by design, by the universe,
yes,
that I'm supposed to sit here with these feelings and self-soothe.
Yes. And we as women need to be better at that, about recognizing what's going on with us and being willing to take care of our own self emotionally, mm-hmm, instead of being so good at over explaining our feelings.
Right.
That's where our skill set really needs to start focusing on. Because what's going to happen then, when you're not over explaining your feelings, guys are actually going to start to be really curious about your feelings. They're going to want to know what's going on with you, what makes you tick. I don't want you to be mad at me, ladies, but you can be mad at me. You're not vomiting emotionally all over them.
That is exactly how I feel at times. Certain times I'll receive, text after text after text after text, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's too much. I don't even know. And I'm just like, I can't even respond. I don't even know where to start, mm-hmm, and it does feel like someone threw up on me. I'm like, I remember I sent a message to one of my friends and said, hey, how's life going? And I just got a laundry list of everything happening in this person's life. And it was just like, I can't even breathe.
Yeah. And it's not that you didn't want to be there for your friend, because you are one of the most giving people I have ever met. But we only, as human beings, can hold so much.
Right.
And we have to remember that, when we're going through certain situations, we have to evaluate whether or not we're taking it to a level that's actually necessary. Now, of course, when you hit a major trauma in your life, you need to be able to lean in hard. Of course, that's not what I'm talking about here.
Right.
I'm talking about us as women being so frustrated, pissed off, not taking care of ourselves, not enjoying life, overdoing it, and then expecting the world to just hand something back to you instead of really taking care of yourself first. And walking around with this, I wouldn't even say low level, it's a high level of just anger and frustration and just...
And hurt.
And things like that, instead of being willing to learn tools to process your feelings, to do something for yourself, to release a lot of that so that you're not anything that hits you doesn't make you crumble emotionally.
Right.
And for my ladies who are thinking low right now, because I know you're out there. I know you well. Well, I don't do that. And you're just stuffing everything in. Warning, at some point that shit comes tumbling down too.
Yeah.
And it usually is on men. And that's why men find us overwhelming. Because now, granted, when they do it, they're not entitled any more than we are to do it. they need to handle their own shit too, which I talk about quite frequently about not coddling men emotionally, because you're not their rescue mechanism. They're not here to rescue you, and you're not here to rescue them emotionally and teach them how to be more emotionally competent human beings by them vomiting their feelings all over you all of the time. One of the things I love about Jen is I think Jen has probably mastered this better than I have, because I think I've gone to the other extreme. I'm not even going to lie. Sometimes I hold in a lot more shit than I should be holding in, because I feel like I'm the go-to person for helping people release their shit. So I've pushed myself into a realm that I shouldn't always be in, and I'm working on it with her to disclose a little bit more here and there, instead of trying to be everybody's rock all the time. Ladies, that's not the place to be either. We need to be able to interact with each other where we ask for what we want, what we need. We're clear. We don't expect men or women in our lives to be able to read our minds, because that's not fucking fair.
It's not possible either.
It's not.
Everyone's set up for failure for that.
I'm really great at reading minds. I'm the only one, though.
What am I thinking right now?
No, I'm not. I don't want to read any of your minds, because it's exhausting. I know the chatter that's going on right now.
I was thinking how beautiful you are.
Oh, thank you. I am beautiful, but I call bullshit. That's what's going on.
I was thinking about the lovely steak I ate earlier.
It was a pretty good steak. A little tough, but it was still good. Good flavor. Anyways, ladies, this is something that we have to definitely start to understand and own. Remember, it is okay to have your feelings. It's not okay to keep stuffing your feelings or punching everybody else with them.
Right.
It's time to take a step back, to process, to self-soothe, to self-care, to recognize what's going on, not have to over talk about it. We think that talk therapy is the way to go all the time. And sometimes, yes, absolutely it is. But I want all of you to recognize that sometimes you can keep talking yourself back into a situation.
For sure. For sure. You can just keep replaying that, and you're stuck in that circle of emotion there. Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing here is that we think we really understand men, and we've gotten so good at studying men and when I say good at studying them, I don't actually mean we're good at reading them whatsoever. But we are so willing to read every article, to listen to every thought process about what men want, what men think, and all this kind of stuff, that we are significantly neglecting ourselves. And that's one of the biggest keys to becoming an adored woman, is being willing to stop neglecting yourself for trying to figure out the idea of being with men. Men are going to come to you as soon as you start to make that shift and allow for a completely different scenario or energy with them.
Yeah. When you're in a place where you're trying to analyze his behaviors and figure out, well, I think he did this because he has this in his background, or that, or when you put that focus more on him and the whys behind it, it just kind of shifts you to where you're not experiencing your own life the way that you should be. We're all here on this planet to have experiences in our lives and grow. It's normal to wonder, like, I don't know why this person did this to me, but you need to really move yourself and shift yourself into a place where you're back to your own experiences and processing your own experiences as much as you can. Worrying about someone else's experiences, solving their problems, or it's just not what you're meant to be doing.
And I want to make a little footnote here on, I have a lot of women who come to me, but Jen, my life is so good. I do this, I have friends and blah, blah, blah. And they try to tell me that they're not doing this with men, over processing men, categorizing men, always focusing all this attention. And every time I peel back a layer of any of it, every single time, Jen, they are doing an excessive amount, sometimes even more, of doing just that. These are incredible, extraordinary women, ambitious women who are doing insanely awesome things, but yet they're still doing this. They are still hyper-focused on what's going on in his head, instead of using something like mantourage dating to start to focus on other pieces of their life and other men in their life until they are in the relationship that they really want to be.
I sort of get why that's happening, because at our core, at our root, we all want to be loved, right? Every person on this planet wants to feel loved by someone else and wants to love someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're not getting that, you're trying to figure out why and how can you get it. But the truth of the matter is, the experience of life, it's more than just that. And truthfully, when you are loving yourself and paying more attention to yourself, you attract others loving you as well, and you give them the space to love you as well.
Well, it breaks down too to this really important piece that women need to understand. Even if you're not communicating with him, he can feel when you're over processing him.
I can't stand that.
Oh my God. It is such the biggest turnoff ever for men. He doesn't need you to analyze every bit of his behavior, because when he connects with you, when he wants to be with you, he is more concerned about what you two can build together, the fun that you can experience, the moments that you create. He doesn't need your analytical account of who he is. And he also doesn't need you to over-explain all of your feelings. Let him be more curious about it. I don't think I've talked about this for a while, but my husband was extremely shut down when I first met him.
Right.
And just because I didn't over-process things with him or over-explain all my feelings to him, as we spent more and more time together, he became curious about what my feelings actually were.
Right. Yeah. He would keep with himself withdrawn from you from time to time, but you never took it as a personal, like, oh, he doesn't want to be around me, or, I mean, I'm sure that thought ran through your head, but you processed it and you didn't worry overly about it. And
no. And in fact, I made a really important transition, because I used to be the woman, Gen 1 here, I used to be the woman that was constantly obsessed with a man. And in fact, I started this whole process obsessed with a man named John. And I met my husband while I was obsessed with that specific man. And what I would do at the time, and I still regret this, I regret it and I don't regret it. I know it was exhausting for other people, and I regret their exhaustion. But I'm glad I know what I know now. So I would always go talk about John all the time. And John did this. I saw this. I had John signs. I had music that came on at certain times that meant something was going to happen between us. It was you've heard that one. Yeah. You've done that one, haven't you?
I mean, yeah, I'm a woman in my 40s, and I was a teenager, and I was in my 20s, and I was that person too.
And it was so compulsive and just really challenging for other people to be around me in those moments, because I wouldn't stop. It's not that I couldn't stop. It's that I wouldn't stop. It was an absolute 100% choice that I made. And I don't want to give any woman the ability to say, I couldn't stop. No, you all can. You all can if you want to. Big difference there. But I did stop doing it with my now husband. And one of the reasons we were able to develop an incredible relationship was because I stopped obsessing about men.
Right.
And that last obsession was such an eye-opener when it came to understanding that when you have these compulsive, obsessive, I have to analyze him, I have to talk about him thoughts, you keep choosing, because it's a habit that you keep choosing over and over again, you make it impossible for him to love you back. Impossible.
Yeah.
Which is what we say we want.
Exactly.
But it's absolutely, there's no room, there's no energetic space, because you have filled it with nothing but insecurity and crap.
Exactly. Yeah. I just want to encourage everyone, like, these are the moments where I feel super overwhelmed, is like over texting. What I want to encourage you to do is match him on his level of interaction with you. It's not to say that you can't interact with him more than he does you. I just want, if you're looking at your text messages and you see your side being 3 times, 4 times the amount of his side, time to maybe dial it back. Reach out to girlfriends or go have some fun on your own. Just the over texting to me is just too much.
Well, yeah, and I was very guilty of that. So absolutely dial it back on that, on the over communication, the over explanation of feelings. You don't owe him an explanation. And women ask me this quite a bit, and I hear them ask each other, well, this is the way I feel, so shouldn't I tell him about it? No, you don't have
not
to give
every
him.
time.
No, not every. And yeah, sometimes there are situations, but more often than not, no, you don't owe a man an explanation of everything, and nor does he really want an explanation of every single thing that is going on in your life, even if he asks, okay? So yes, I understand that that's kind of a gray area. And yes, I understand it would be easier for me to explain situation by situation. We don't have all the time in the world to do it here on the podcast, but it is something to recognize that dialing it back will actually help your love life quite a bit, and let him inquire a little bit more. It doesn't mean that you never get to say what you need to say when you want to say it, but you'll have a much more receptive, focused, willing to listen audience. Okay, lover girl, it's time for the final thought on today's show.
It's impossible to be overwhelming to the right men when you're willing to address your own feelings before you address him.
Thank you, lover girl, for joining us on this romantic fairy godmama edition of Single Smart Female. Don't forget to text this episode to all of your single smart girlfriends, as well as visit us at singlesmartfemale.com.
We'll talk to you next time.
And here's to you having everything you want in life and love.
This show is brought to you by Irresistibility, expert help for women with online dating. Are you experiencing inbox crickets or real-life crazies? It's not you, it's your online dating profile. Let us help you do online dating that leads to real-life love and romance. Go to helpmeonlinedate.com and we will send you the first 2 video chapters of our program for free.